What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about HyperLiquid today. It is the 16th day of June, and the last time we talked about HyperLiquid was on the 11th, the 11th being here. On the 11th, I made the prediction that we would be moving back up to these levels and likely even above them, above $80, somewhere between $80 and $100. There's a possibility that we could be running up to $100 or more, but I think that we will stop probably just shy of $100, around $94, $83 there, somewhere in that range. We're making a nice move today. We've made a nice move since the 11th. Overall, I mean, how much are we up since the 11th there? From a low to a high, we're up 45%. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Not too shabby. I do believe being here and seeing slightly higher highs, we probably activated some stop losses. So we probably do see a little bit of volatility on the way up. Let's just, for example, come back here where we had highs here and we went just above this high, and then we came back down. A little bit of volatility, right? I mean, how much of a move down was that? It doesn't look that significant, but from a high to a low, it's 14%. That's somewhat significant, especially if you're buying the high. That can create some negative emotions that screw you up right before the big move happens. So that happened there. Just as we got above these highs, we saw a little bit of volatility. Even here, right as soon as we got above this high, we stopped, hunted, and then went down. You slowly, kind of accumulated, then you went up. It's not a guarantee. Sometimes you get above prior highs and you just continue to rally and you keep moving up, and that's nice. But my thoughts are simply that we are probably at a point of contention. We probably do see a little bit of volatility, and being at this point where we found resistance before, maybe we go down to where we found support before. Maybe we even go lower and we go to this point where we found resistance before, but something that's probably below $70 would be my guess, before inevitably making our way up higher. Above $80 would be my suspicion there. So I want to look at this here on the weekly time frame real quick. If we take this high from back in September of 2025 to the low here, this was our last kind of significant high. The 1272 right here is at $79. $79.44 now. If this had been on the first attempt, and this was the first attempt's call, was that we would go up to this area, that would be more of a the probable outcome, in my opinion, would be more that we'd find resistance here, especially after seeing such a move like this. But now that we've seen a little bit of a pullback over the past couple of weeks down to the 886 and up, I really do suspect that we'll see this $92 area. And with the 1414, typically you don't just find resistance right at it. You can. This line is an idea. It's not a requirement. You can fall short of that idea. You can exceed that idea. But typically with the 1414, you do see moves that go just above it and then come back below it, stuff like that. If we're building to the 1618, you might see support at the 1272, and then we continue going up there. It is possible that we go above $100, but I'm not making that call, at least not right now. I think $114 is a bit out of reach. It's possible, but probably something around $79 to $92. We go to Hype. We look at its all-time history here. Hype H. We look at this here. Just because this is how it's been in the past doesn't mean that this has to be how it is now. But if we take these movements from a low to a high, I'm not going to measure the overall high here. I'm just measuring this low to high. Here, you put it at that low there. You put it at that low there. I mean, again, that would stop us just below $90 if we saw something like that. I mean, we would have already been stopped out if we took this measurement here. But from Hype's movements that we've seen so far historically, and its very short existence of time, to me, it seems a bit excessive for us to go up to the 1618. It's not that it can't happen. And maybe like this time here, maybe we work our way up there over time. Maybe that's exactly how it happens. We distribute that way. Could be the case. However, from here, the golden ratio is at $80. There's a decent chance we do find resistance there. 1886 at 115. There's some congruence there. We could find resistance in between. I mean, I think we've nailed that zone perfectly. But I do expect that most of this move from a low to a high has been had. We probably do see some distribution over the weeks, over the months to come, and then likely pull back down to find another higher low in Hype's existence. I wouldn't be surprised if this higher low was even below this trend line here. People have a way of thinking, oh my God, the trend line's broken, we're going to zero, but typically it's right below those trend lines that we actually do find support. Just like here, let's see, if we go above this trend line, people might get excited that Hype's going to the moon, it's going to go to $1,000, but if we did make it above $100, it's probably right there that we would stop. It would be just above that trend line there. Or also in that same kind of context, maybe people expect that we hit this trend line and we fall just shy of it. That happens often enough as well. So anyways, I digress. I think I've made my point there. Let's get into the short-term stuff. and then wrap this video up, okay? Hype HUSD. I want to make sure that I'm not just fabricating this, that there actually is some reasons to believe that we are going lower. Let's see, looking at the 1 hour time frame here, we'll delete the fibs so there's less noise. A lot of volume coming in. I mean, it looks good. Overall, you look pretty good on your price action. I wouldn't be surprised if this did continue, but again, maybe from here, at least you would see something like this, if not maybe something more extreme. The RSI is overbought. You're pretty overbought here, yeah. I mean, you look good. You look really good, but the last time you were here, you at least did move sideways. The time before that we saw readings like this, let's just see. Let's go back. Maybe, deep readings like this. You did come down a little bit, but you moved sideways overall. Here you moved sideways, and then inevitably you sold off. You sold off, and this is the 1 hour time frame, so it looks like a very long time. It's really just days in the making, and then you came back up. We might see something that's a little bit longer, prolonged on the 1 hour time frame that lasts, the rest of this week, maybe even going into next week as far as the retracement goes. It's possible. Maybe it's something shorter. Maybe we just move sideways. We reset our indicators, and then we're off to the races again. But time will tell. Nonetheless, I do expect we're at a relative stopping point, a relative area where we will configure ourselves. Looking at the MACD is bullish, stochastics are bullish, but again, might be time to cool off a little bit. RSI in the 4 hour time frame, stochastics, MACD, all of it's dominant, very bullish. There's no signs, in my opinion, of weakening here. The only sign would be the price action. Maybe the lack of volume on the 4 hour, but that's, I mean, we're right here. We're not breaking out yet. I don't think it's a problem that we have volume. If we actually had a lot of volume here and we weren't breaking out, that to me would be a problem. The fact that there's not volume here, so long as we behave well, I think can be good. And even if we go lower, as long as we're finding support at prior resistance, I think that's good as well. Again, the primary idea here would be that we are finding support at prior areas of support, something in this zone, or prior areas of resistance here. So $70, $65, something like that. We take a low to a high here, assuming this is the high. And our 236 lines up with that perfectly. This lower level here goes just below the 382, and it's actually very common to wick just below the 382 when finding support there and then moving up higher. So anything and everything in this zone, $70, $60, maybe even $63, $65. I think that's a very acceptable target area. So nailed that on the head right off the bat. Looking at this on the daily time frame, I mean, if I'm wrong, we just continue moving up. We could be at $80 or more by the end of today. It could happen. It is possible. I would think that we need a little bit more volume to make that happen. I don't like the idea of us closing here and then moving down on the daily perspective, because, man, if we close here or a little bit higher and then we move down, that's a rejection off the overbought zone on the daily. That's not typically friendly. Though you've seen that before, and it didn't stop you, right? It didn't really stop you. You moved sideways for a little bit. Here you even climbed up afterwards. I'm just hoping, I'm hopeful that maybe we pull down today, 10 hours left. Maybe we close a little bit lower so that we're not quite at this point where we're rejecting the overbought zone. We're a little bit lower, something like that. We can gather our bearings and try to make a strike into this overbought zone over the coming weeks, if not sometime next week. The MACD is flipping green, which is a positive note in itself. Don't want to move too much lower, but a little bit lower might be helpful. Stochastics are getting overbought. The last time that we saw the daily stochastics getting overbought was here. I shouldn't say the last time. The last time that we had not been overbought for a while and then we got overbought, not been overbought for a while and then we got overbought, was here at the beginning of this next phase up. So I think that that's more or less where we are. Maybe you could compare it to this whenever both, whenever we're a little bit closer to the overboughts in there. Still, I think that we have more to go. That's the main point here. Okay, I think we have more to go. And likely that'll happen, I think, over the coming weeks. If not by the end of June, then sometime in July, I suspect HyperLiquid will be above $90. But probably not above $100. Maybe somewhere around there. I got nothing else for you guys, though, besides maybes and thoughts like that. So hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I will see you on the next one. I'm just going to look at this real quick. Sloppy there. Yeah, hopefully we can close this week a little bit higher than we are now, actually. If not, it's not really a big deal. We just have this bearish divergence. I actually don't expect that we're going to close this week here or higher. We just, maybe next week we want to continue moving higher. We don't want to form bearish divergence here. It's there. You've got the lower high, but if the following weeks we build more bullish momentum, that divergence goes away. So, and our oscillators are crossing through the zero. So there's a lot of positive stuff going on basically every time frame here for for the intermediate term timeframes. But immediately, I think we're seeing signs of wanting to pause and pull back. I'm just repeating myself now, so I'll end it there. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye.